What I found interesting was that we are talking to parents who've gone through the New Zealand education system, but yet don't even have an understanding about those principles. So it's not specific to migrant parents. It's actually just about our community better understanding, either through their lived experiences or through not even going through that process, knowing what those resources are, knowing how to access them and then make sense of them, I think is important.
This podcast is proudly supported by the Ōtara Network Action Committee, ōNAC, community-owned, community-driven and community-led.
No mai, haere mai, hoki mai no ki. We are Ōtara, the podcast that tells the truth from the hood, by the hood, for the hood is what we like to say. And today, it's really important to remember that we wouldn't be here without the support of ōNAC, the Ōtara Network Community Action Group, who helped us get started with our first 20 or so podcasts. So big shout out to ōNAC, big shout out to Vinny, who's patiently coached so many podcast hosts and guests over this time, and a big shout out that he knocked off number 50 podcast. So this is 51, and it's got to be some world record, which we'll be announcing here very soon. You have no idea. Whānau, just keep watching and you'll hear the announcement of what world record Vinny's broken now. But at 20, he was in the top 2 billion of podcasts, because only 2% ever make it past 20 in a series, and now we're at 51. So, woohoo! Today, I'm very excited to be catching up with the lovely Blake Wong-Ling, because not like his cousin Mark, who I met 150 years ago, back in the good old days with Careers New Zealand.
Yeah.
And what we were just reflecting while we were waiting for the setup here was that actually this is the first time we've ever talked together in a no-holds-barred environment, because Blake's no longer a public servant for the first time since I've known him. So welcome back to the real world. The real world where we can be courageous and take action to make things happen for our communities. That's the best thing. And you get to be poor as well. So it makes you more grateful. But it's wonderful. So welcome, Blake.
Thank you.
Yay. And the other special thing, I suppose, at this time when we're all still grieving so much, is that last time we saw each other was at the Fessel's launch for his mayoral candidacy, and it was a very special night, and you know, it was the way all great things are. Even though it was in town at fancy venue, it was like a family party, and it was a special night. And it was you were the MC. I remember. I was very impressed. Yeah.
Thank you for
Thank you. And so remembering our great leader and how much he will be greatly missed. And I won't say any more, because otherwise we'll have tears and Vinny have to edit the whole thing out. Okay, so why don't we start the conversation with a bit of a recap on Careers New Zealand and where you went from there, because what I love is that in the work, you know, I'm still doing 30 years later, is that I bang into you guys all the time.
Yeah.
All the people I regarded or knew that was stand up, you know, from Dale all the way through to, you know, you and Fran and Mark and even, I don't know if you remembered Huia Murupainga.
Yeah.
So
another daughter of Ōtara.
Yeah, she is, close friend of mine. Love that woman so much, but I never met her. It was weird.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, she only lives down the road.
I know she does. No, I've seen heaps of her since we got here, but I didn't ever meet her at Careers New Zealand. Okay. Yeah, there's probably 100 of other people too, but amazing people in those times, really striving to do great things for community and for youth, and helping people really, you know, find their rainbows, I guess.
Oh yeah, I do miss having a government agency that its full focus was on career pathways and helping, on a school side, helping students, helping career advisors, but on a community side, being able to enable people with resources to help them navigate careers, whether that be education, training, or getting a better job. It was really good to have a dedicated government service doing that.
Amazing.
Now we don't have that, and it's been embedded in other government agencies, and it sometimes gets lost, that message.
Yeah, but it was so stripped down. I felt too that whole thing. Well, from the major ethnicities, Māori and Pacifica, who thrive on kanohi.
Yeah, face to face. Yeah.
And then saying, we don't need that, we're going to telephone. It's like, no, that's not going to work.
Typical
and you guys all said that.
Typical government, it's, saying, that's a pretty high cost commodity, in-person delivery or in-person engagement. And it's all about self-directed, go online, make sense of this and then you'll be all right. But we've seen that hasn't actually shifted things forward in terms of our communities.
It hijacked the hopes and dreams of a whole generation, which is pretty scary when you think it is a generation, actually.
It is. And then now you can see towards the end of the last government into this government, now they're starting to see the impact of that in terms of workforce development, not having enough people being skilled enough to be able to fill those jobs.
But not taking everybody on the journey too. That's a really nice place to start then, isn't it? Because I know that's what's in your heart and what drives you, and it's always driven me. And so how lucky we were to have such amazing leaders and such amazing colleagues that believed and understood what we needed to do. And now we don't forget, we reach out and we bring those Taurangatahi with us on a new journey, which might be a bit late starting, but just like missing the bus, there's always another bus coming. So, careers. So, remember there was a great exodus when everybody I knew and loved left.
I would have called it the purge. No.
It was heartbreaking. What happened after that? Where did you go?
So I was actually involved in the, even while I was at Careers, I think in the 8 years that I was there, we went through 4 different restructures. But towards that last bit, I was involved in that process of being able to kind of gather the voice about, what the organisation wants to be before they pretty much chopped it into bits and then dissected it, and then it got lifted and amalgamated into the Tertiary Education Commission.
Which was already there all the way along, doing its own
and
nice
they're funders. They're funders of tertiary institutions. That's been their bread and butter. But it was interesting for them to receive almost a service delivery component, which was Careers New Zealand. But I saw the writing on the wall after 2 years of that restructure process, and then I jumped ship and went to MIT. Came more locally home to MIT, which was a really, really good opportunity as well.
Yeah, I remember you popping up a few times here, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how was the MIT? What was your role at MIT? Was still in that career space?
It was more. I was doing student recruitment first, and then I moved then into the Pacifica Development Office, where I met Renee and Will and a few other people, and that allowed me a space to kind of work amongst other spaces within education. So I was able to do a bit of careers on the side there, and then after that, then I jumped ship again and came to MOE, which is. My first job at MOE was really implementing enrolment schemes, and at that time Ōtara didn't have any enrolment schemes across their primary schools, and so they thought,
so how do you transition children from a preschool or from home into school? Is that what that means?
It's pretty much zoning.
Okay.
Yeah, which everyone hates. Everyone hates zoning. Zoning is to help.
No, we don't have it, and no one understands what we've got.
Well, and now every school has a zone. So if you live in a particular area, that you're directed to the school that you should be going to because of its geographical position.
Even special purpose schools at the same.
Other than special purpose schools, they're a bit different. But people don't like being told which school their kids go to.
No.
But I guess that's how we manage the schooling network. But it was a very, very driven process around what legislation said, even though it had the guise of a community engagement. It wasn't really. It was a tick box exercise. It was go to the school to talk with the principal, but direct them and tell them what the enrolment scheme looked like. It was an interesting space. Didn't really like it, and but then from then I went into another role, which was the last role that I was in, which was a national around Pacific equity funding. Programs like Talanoa Ako, which is engaging with parents and families. Those were that's when I found the love within the ministry of the work that we did. And so shout out to Gabby and all the team.
The great people you left behind.
Yes. Oh, yeah. But yeah, I think like in every good career pathway, there are always bends, turns, ups and downs. And so my rocky start at the ministry was that rocky start, but then I was able to move on to a really great space where I knew, the work that we did, I could see the impact in seeing parents and children succeed in their love for education aspirations. And I love that job, but God asked me to come for a season in my role that I have with my church. And so I currently look after education and employment initiatives within my church.
Oh, amazing.
For a particular
So
region.
which church are you aligned with?
Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah, so
LDS.
locally here?
So I'm based locally, but I look after Auckland, Northland, Niue and Cooks.
Wow.
So, yeah.
It sounds like a dream job.
It has been so far. So it's been a few months.
That's really exciting.
Yeah, it's been really good. So I support local church leaders, but then there's our key emphasis from our area leaders is career coaching for young adults 18 to 30. So if you can imagine...
That's a really good idea.
Exactly. I think it's just really timely.
Wow. Because I just wrote down three things from just what you'd said then from our conversation so far. The first one was how important face-to-face is, because that's how we think and that's how we communicate. The second thing was that how a tick box approach to community engagement is just not good enough, and it's not going to happen that way. It doesn't matter how many governments believe in it, because it's cheap. It doesn't work. And then the last thing was, you keep looking till you find the gold. That's right, I'm finding the gold, and that's what you've done, isn't it? So you took what you loved, what you were great at, and now you found the gold after that big journey.
Yeah.
You must be a very happy man.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
I'm just grateful to Heavenly Father for the opportunity. And so
How wonderful.
if you can imagine, we talk about the importance of face-to-face career coaching for young people, for anyone.
Yeah.
And now the fact that that's a focus for my church, that we're trying to get volunteers locally in our congregations to become career coaches, and we will train them how to have those conversations. Our young adults will be set up for success to support them whatever their aspirations are.
From real community engagement.
From real community, from locals, Yeah.
Oh, that's just wonderful. So where's your base? Are you based out in South Auckland? Or
Yeah, I'm based I live conveniently next to my meeting house. So so I currently serve as a bishop for one of our congregations. So I dual purpose. It's dual purpose. So it has a spiritual element, but during the week I base myself from there.
I guess that kind of grounds you too, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think for the first time in my life, everything is aligned spiritually and outside of that.
Wow. So tell us some more about the job. I'm so excited. I didn't actually understand that the LDS did that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That they had I don't want to call it a corporate, a community engagement face outside week by week worship.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, so it's called Welfare and Self-Reliance. And our focus is the welfare component is emergency preparedness, emergency response. So, for example, in the Mangere floods, a lot of that, we've been encouraged all our lives to have 72-hour kits as families, all those type of principles.
Who did that? Because it was all...
well, some people did, and some people went, "Wow, I should have listened to that all my life."
It would have been a good idea.
And so, but the church was a big part of that response as well, and being able to kind of, we've got. That's the whole part of the self-reliance bit for us is about not having to rely on government or other people to be able to survive, but, to prepare ourselves in every way that we can. And the part of that is education as an empowerment to empower ourselves.
Well, those are the tools, aren't they? The steps.
So we always say meaningful careers or, jobs with meaning. that education with purpose, jobs with meaning is kind of the slogan that we follow within our
Sounds like
self-reliance.
something out of the old career.
Yeah. Well, literally
find
what it
a
is.
job you love and you'll never work another day in your life. That was what the T-shirt said.
That's good.
And you can put that
I
on your
remember that. I
T-shirt
still got
too.
that T-shirt. Yeah.
I really believe in it because that's how I feel. But it's so interesting when I think about that kaupapa because that's actually what we're trying to do here.
Exactly.
And I don't know if you got that, but we've got the emergency response team with the call centre downstairs, and then we're all buzzing around.
I was already like in my mind going, wow, all of these things are things that
it could be a beautiful partnership.
Yeah, exactly.
We'd love to work with you guys just to, because we're here forever, and that was that conversation too that we're talking about corporate engagement. It's trying to get corporates to say, well, we're not here for you to tick your box around community engagement. We're not the zoo.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just laughing about my own joke about the picnic. Next, you bring a really good picnic. We're not the zoo. A picnic to share. But seriously, that whole thing is that if it's very sexy to have corporate engagement from both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
But we just have to be strong and stand against it unless it's actually wholehearted. Unless people actually want a partnership, a collaboration with equal expectations and mutual expectations. We can't do that. We're just selling our souls. We're selling our babies if we do that. And I guess you've got your ecclesiastical infrastructure that supports truth.
Yep.
So it kind of gets some of the rat bags out of the way because firstly they had to stand in the bright light and go, am I good enough for this conversation? And it's a self-assessment, really, isn't it? Yeah. Do I want to be fully truthful? Because otherwise they're not going to come and sit around your table anyway. Whereas out here, and we're quite good at judging people's intentions or assessing their. We don't judge. Okay. Anyway, so I'm loving this kind of this approach. And I'm sure it's not that simple, but it is my personal belief. The need for truth, the understanding of how to do it, and then actually recognising it when you're here.
And I think that's with our young people. There's no shortage of resources available to them in terms of careers, in terms of education. But I think the missing component is the sense making of that we expect our young people to digest and be able to kind of make sense of all of this information around them. So in a generation now where the information is their fingertips, it's really hard for them to decipher,
navigate
truth and darkness, or light and darkness, and stuff that's relevant
clouds
to them.
And blue sky.
Yeah, and sometimes they need that reality check as well. Like dreams are for free, but all it takes is hard work.
Yeah.
Or people always talk about, I need to wait for the perfect time to go to school, get it, get into further study. There's no perfect time. I'm going to say that to everyone who's listening. There's no perfect time. You actually just need to do it.
Yeah.
And otherwise 20 years and you're like, oh wow, I haven't done it yet. So I think dream big, but just know that it takes hard work to be able to get there.
I love that. It's another little whakatag for us all to take away. That's really special and it's so true. I mean, you're talking about information at your fingertips. I think one of the really important things about that and that plethora of information that surrounds us is how do I navigate my way through it? And I guess that's the work that I've had so much of an honour to be part of. And I've talked a bit about that with the girls this morning, and maybe Finn, we should need to do that too, is that right now I'm in a situation now where pretty well all day, every day, I'm working with individuals to work out how to get to the next piece and to connect them with the agencies that would help. Like in the next room, we've got the cops with one of our rangatahi talking about making a statement, talking about going to the hospital because, after an assault, there's some things that need to happen. Otherwise, you're not going to have ACC behind you. You're not going to have the police behind you. You're not going to stop, the next young person being stomped in a crowd situation in the city. And we have to look after our kids, but also help them understand that they're part of this reality. Yep. Other whānau we have, their kids are getting taken away from them. how do I engage with government to understand what's happened in the process and understand how I can engage with that. So all of those things have got washed away in the last 20 years where whole new generations had children and they didn't have the tools anymore. So what I guess, this is my realisation after a week of all this stuff, because how do I know those things? I don't really know. I just lived longer than anybody else around here. But it's about sharing the roadmap, and now you're in that perfect situation to share the roadmap. None of us know, but every time we deal with a situation like that, we're gathering things for our basket.
Yeah. And I think a good example is in the Ministry of Education programs like Talanoako, which was a Pacific parenting program. They go through 10 weeks of different topics such as understanding NCA, literacy, numeracy.
A bit like we did at AUT back in
we pretty much was the originators of those ideas. But what I found interesting was that we are talking to parents who've gone through the New Zealand education system, but yet don't even have an understanding about those principles. So it's not specific to migrant parents. It's actually just about our community better understanding, either through their lived experiences or through not even going through that process. Knowing what those resources are, knowing how to access them and then make sense of them, I think is pretty much
also understanding why they need to access them, but why they're the tools. I think that's the point too, isn't it? Because that's that whole thing that so many kids say to me, but that's not for us. Oh yes, it is, because that's how you're going to be able to feed your kids.
Yeah.
Get a job that you love.
And what you were talking about before we started discussing this was the amount of children not even going to school.
But I see our public service, and particularly your former employee, just going, employ you. And it's a reality. We've got about 20 kids that walk in here most days, or at least most weeks. There's only one way from if they stop coming here, and that's up to the town centre and sell some drugs. And, not on my watch. Not on our watch, Haven. Never. And, I'll die in a ditch before that happens, but inevitably it will. We know that, because you find out so much more when you work in community, you know what's going on. Children, who, mum's left or...
Yeah, you see the needs.
You just see it. And, but the interesting thing that we've learned is that based on our call centre downstairs, where anyone can phone and ask for help, the number one thing by 80% more is that people need food. People are hungry. So, that's all very well for our Prime Ministers and Deputy Prime Ministers to be going, hey, we don't need free lunches in schools. Kids are hungry, but mum and dad are hungry too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just...
Yeah, we just helped out, my youth group just helped out charity Feed the Need, and they were the originators of the free lunch before the Kaiora free lunch program in schools, but now they do weekend packs for the families.
Whānau.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
so
great.
they snack packs for the kids, but weekend packs. And I was like, is this actually a need? And she's like, yeah, there's a need.
There's no food.
No food for the family, not just the children during the weekdays when they go to school. So
that's just a stopgap. Yeah. I mean, that's why you're doing the gardening thing, I bet you are. I mean, that's why growing your own food's a great idea.
Yeah.
Sully and I had chickens out the back here for a while, you know that.
Yeah.
And then the dogs ate them. It was, but the great chicken hunt. Because they were running
lucky
around
they
the
didn't
place.
build the KFC around the corner. No.
Yeah, well, that was the community standing up saying what it wanted. It was really amazing. So where does it go forward from here? You said it's just a year, this contract that you've got.
No, I've just started it. A few months ago, yeah.
Yeah. So you're finding your feet?
Finding my feet. But I think, reflecting on Efeso's passing, just really, for many of us, because I talked about me being one of the many people that he helped influence and mentor. I think Harry put that challenge out there is like, what do we do next? Do we live in his legacy? We honour his memory, but what do we do with our choices? He was the preparer.
You said that the other day.
He was the John the Baptist. So he prepared the way. But what do we do now? being the ones who are the generation to be able to take that up and fight.
The people that received his gifts and saw his gifts. Yeah, what are we going to do now?
It haunts me. It's haunted me.
Another party up the moga.
No, it's haunted me. Yeah, since just said, what can we do now? What can I do to be able to contribute to that, to move the message forward?
Yeah, that's an amazing challenge. So, Blake, thank you for being with us today. Thank you for reconnecting with the work that we're doing here, and it's so exciting to see that we're still progressing the same kaupapa that we met on, which I find that really exciting, and I think we need to bring all of those fellas together, actually. And just reflecting on your challenge to us, those that are going to watch this podcast and enjoy the message. The message is, yes, let's grieve a vessel, but let's remember that he left us a challenge, really. Yeah. And yeah, I think that's a pretty special thing to do, and let's live up to that challenge and his expectation of those of us that were lucky enough to be touched by him. Kia ora. We're not going to talk anymore because I'm going to cry.
Thank you.
Thank you.